Welcome! Today, we're going to talk about how businesses actually make things and get bigger. We'll follow the journey of a founder from a simple idea to a huge operation, and we'll look at the key economic ideas that shape all their decisions.
It's the question on every entrepreneur's mind, right? How does that happen? Well, it's not magic. It's a process. It all starts with one great product, but to really make that dream a reality, you have to master the business of production. So, let's dive in.
All right, our founder's journey kicks off here, in Act 1, with the blueprint. See, before you can even think about scaling, you need a solid recipe, a reliable plan for how you're going to create your product every single time.
So what even is production? At its heart, it's actually super simple. It's just the process of turning a bunch of ingredients, what we call inputs, into a finished product, the output. Just think about it like turning flour, sugar, and heat into a loaf of bread. That simple transformation, that's production. So what exactly are these inputs? Think of them as the entire shopping list for a business. And it's not just the obvious stuff like raw materials. It's the people doing the work, the labor. It's the money and equipment you use, the capital. It's the land your building sits on, and even the power that keeps the lights on and the machines running. It's the whole shebang.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Businesses don't just throw things together and hope for the best. They create a formula, and it's called the production function. Think of it as the company's secret recipe. It's a precise mathematical way of saying, hey, if we use this much labor, or L, and this much capital, or K, we know we're going to get this specific quantity, or Q, of our product. This is the absolute bedrock for being consistent and for scaling up.
Okay, so with that solid blueprint in hand, our founder is ready for the next level. Welcome to Act 2. This is all about growth. They've perfected their recipe, and now they want to make way more. But, as they're about to find out, it's not as simple as just buying more ingredients.
This right here is the million-dollar question for any business trying to scale. If you double everything, your staff, your machines, your materials, do you automatically get double the product? The answer, as our founder is about to learn, is a little frustrating. It depends. And this brings us to a huge concept in economics, the law of returns to scale. This law basically explains what happens to your output when you scale up all of your inputs at the same time. You can think of it as the official rulebook for growth, and it has 3 very different stages.
Okay, I know, a table with numbers can look a bit technical, but stick with me because this tells the entire story of our founder's company. On the left, you've got the inputs, the labor and capital we're putting in. In the middle, how much we're getting out. But that third column, marginal output, that's the real key. It tells us how much extra stuff we get for each new batch of inputs. Let's walk through what's going on stage by stage.
So, in the beginning, when our founder doubles their inputs, something incredible happens. Their output doesn't just double, it more than doubles, jumping from 10 units all the way to 25. This is what we call increasing returns to scale. You can see it right there in the marginal output. That second round of inputs adds 15 units, way more than the first 10. The business is actually getting more efficient as it gets bigger. It's a fantastic place to be.
Then after that amazing growth spurt, things start to stabilize. As our founder keeps adding more inputs, the output goes up by the exact same amount each time. Check out the marginal output. It's holding steady at 16. This is constant returns to scale. Now the operation is just a well-oiled machine. You double the inputs, you double the output. It's predictable, it's stable, and it's a great phase for a growing business.
But then, a problem starts to creep in. As the company gets even bigger, adding more input starts to produce less and less extra output. Just look at that last row. The marginal output drops from 16 all the way down to 7. This is diminishing returns. The company is getting too complicated, and growth is becoming inefficient. For our founder, this is a huge warning sign.
And that warning sign leads our founder to a brand new challenge. The question isn't just, how do we grow anymore? Now it's, how do we grow smart? So welcome to Act 3, the efficiency puzzle.
So the goalposts have moved. It's not just about making more and more. Now it's about hitting a very specific target, let's say 500 units, but doing it for the absolute lowest possible cost. And that requires a much smarter tool than just the basic production function.
So, let me introduce you to the ISO quant. The name sounds fancy, but it's simple. ISO means equal, and quant means quantity. So this is literally an equal quantity map. It shows our founder all the different recipes, all the different combinations of workers and machines they could possibly use to produce their target of 500 units. This table shows you exactly what that map looks like. To get to 500 units, our founder could hire just one worker and use a ton of expensive machinery. Or they could go the other way, hire 5 workers and use very little machinery. The point is, all of these paths, and everything in between, get you to the exact same destination. The isoquant is a map of all your choices.
So if the isoquant is the map, what's the goal? It's to find the treasure. And in business, the treasure is the one single spot on that map that is the absolute cheapest. This is what we call the least cost combination. It's that strategic sweet spot where the business is making exactly what it needs to for the lowest possible price. This is peak efficiency.
All right, time for Act 4. Our founder knows how to grow, and they know how to do it efficiently. But as they're about to find out, scaling up has major consequences. There are some amazing payoffs, but also some really dangerous pitfalls.
First, let's talk about the good news. Economies of scale. This is the big prize you get for growing successfully. It means that as your company gets bigger, the cost to produce each individual item actually goes down. To put it really simply, sometimes bigger is cheaper.
And these cost savings, they come in 2 main flavors. You've got internal economies. Those are the advantages the company creates for itself as it grows. And then you have external economies, which happen when the entire industry gets bigger, giving a boost to all the companies in it. So what do these internal benefits actually look like? Well, a bigger company can afford better, faster, more efficient machines. They can hire specialists, a marketing guru, a financial wizard. They can get better interest rates on loans. And, the classic one, they can get huge discounts for buying their raw materials in bulk. Every single one of these things makes each item they produce a little bit cheaper.
But there is a dark side to growth. Remember those warning signs back in the diminishing returns phase? Well, this is it. It's called diseconomies of scale. This is the tipping point where the company gets too big and the cost to make each item actually starts to go up. All of a sudden, growing bigger costs you more than it's worth.
And why on earth does this happen? Well, internally, the organization can just become a giant, tangled mess. Communication breaks down, decisions get stuck in endless meetings, and externally, if the whole industry blows up in one city, you might get a shortage of skilled workers, which drives up wages for everybody. Or you might literally clog up the local roads and ports, making shipping more expensive.
And all of this brings us to our final and most important question. We followed our founder's journey from a simple recipe to a massive company, and we've seen the rewards and the dangers of growth. It all forces us to ask, is endless growth always the right goal? Or is there a point where being better is more important than just being bigger? That's the puzzle every successful business eventually has to solve.